Okay, so it seems like Sheer Cold is the most complicated move in all of Pokemon, and that's because of the changes in the 7th generation. Ice-type Pokemon are now immune to Sheer Cold. Additionally, the move's accuracy is lowered if the user is not an Ice-type Pokemon. It's that last one that really complicates things because there's no data, there's no information on what this modified accuracy is if you are not an Ice-type Pokemon. Further complicating it, there's not a lot of Pokemon that aren't Ice-type that get it. We have Suicune, we have Kyogre, and we have Smeargle. The rest of the Pokemon that can use it are going to be Ice-types, so 1, it's a very niche case. 2, we wouldn't even know that this exists if it wasn't for flavor text, that we have target feints instantly, less likely to hit the target if used by Pokemon other than Ice types. And what makes this even crazier is that Pokemon Sun and Moon was almost completely data mined a week before the game came out. A leaked copy got out, the data mining happened, and then everyone knew everything about the game, even down to the long list of balance changes. Now, the crazy thing about that is that even the data mining didn't really realize all of the balance changes initially, and there's still a lot that keep popping up now and then. Like, I just learned that Throw gets map block, so unless you're actually looking for these changes, it's hard to find. But we also learned that Sheer Cold was nerfed because we could read the flavor text in the game files. However, in all of the information I've seen from the data mines, there is absolutely nothing that shows what the modified accuracy of Sheer Cold is, and it's going to be really problematic to try to figure out how to solve for this accuracy as well because of the damage formula. Now, this is even further complicated because Sheer Cold's chance of hitting is independent of accuracy and evasion stats, and the way that it's listed, it seems like it just kind of reduces the accuracy, and without any hard number listing that we could find, is it actually a change at all? Maybe someone said, oh, the accuracy temporarily becomes -1 when used by a non-Ice type Pokemon. If it's programmed that way, then that means the actual mechanics of Sheer Cold might ignore the programming, which is now why there's a question on Bulbapedia, because this move effect may be in need of research because we couldn't find anything in the data mining, and anecdotal evidence is saying that the accuracy feels about the same or it's slightly modified. What is the accuracy of Sheer Cold if it is used by an Ice type or by a non-Ice type? Is it the same? There are even people discussing if it is the same accuracy, and that might be because of the way that the move's accuracy is lowered if not used by an Ice-type Pokemon. So that's pretty crazy. Now what I want to do is I want to go out and test this. And now we can actually get outside the trivia and into the video. So what I have set up right now is I have a little bit of a calculator. Some ideas, this means successful, or this means unsuccessful. Like, this is the amount of times I've used Sheer Cold, and then this means if it lands. So I'll just count up and do things like that. And I don't have a reset hotkey, so we're just going to do that. But we're even going to find problems if we just go into a game and then Sheer Cold random Pokemon, because the accuracy of Sheer Cold and one-hit KO moves is determined by the level of the user and the level of the target, and then adding 30%, which means that it has an effective accuracy of 30% in most competitive play, because you have the auto leveling down to level 50, or whatever you're playing, you're generally expecting there to be an even playing field of the same level opponent and the same level user of the move, therefore it's displayed as 30%. So it's even displayed as 30% inside of the game. So you can even go in game, click on the information about Sheer Cold, it will say that the accuracy is 30, but that's actually base accuracy, and then we just see the flavor text. It's less likely to hit target if used by other than Ice-type Pokemon, but that doesn't help us out in this situation right here, where we have a really powerful Ice-type Pokemon, and then we have a really low-level Pokemon. So my initial thought was, yeah, I'm just going to go out, I'm going to use Sheer Cold on everything, and then we're going to find out. Problem is, I've landed 7 out of 7 Sheer Colds right now, and I can guarantee that isn't going to happen just this regularly if I'm going against even level Pokemon. So my plan was to use Sheer Cold with Walrein 100 times, and then go down and use Sheer Cold with Smeargle 100 times, and that way we can use the Ice-type Pokemon Walrein as the baseline, and that will give us like an effective variance for what the Sheer Cold accuracy could be in a relatively small sample size. Ideally, you'd want more than 100 because you could find a lot of variance. You know, there could be times where I'll hit 5 Sheer Cold in a row, or I'll miss like 10 in a row or something like that. So that's just kind of like trying to do a good test. But now I have to go into the battle tree. And the battle tree could complicate things because Smeargle is not that strong of a Pokemon, and if we go up against Ice-type Pokemon, those are going to be immune Pokemon as well. So it's just going to take a lot of grinding, and I might only get 1 or 2 Sheer Cold off per battle before I feint or feint the opponent, and then I have to like restart and then try again, and then that's just going to add to the counter. So pretty much what I'm saying is this is going to take a while, and I'm just going to give you guys a quick montage of the process, and we'll come back to the numbers, and maybe we'll have something, but this is going to take a while. I know I said I was going to do a montage, but some things are just so ridiculous they need to be put in the video. Such as the first battle on the battle tree is against a Walrein. With my Walrein, and it's an Ice-type Pokemon, so the Sheer Cold isn't even going to work. Also, guys, I ended up changing up a few things because I'm going to have Walrein in the same battle as Smeargle. So I have 1 and 2, that's going to be Walrein's hit and miss, or usage and hits. And then Smeargle is going to have usage and hits as well. So hopefully that means I won't have as much time transitioning through like the animations. And at least we can see how the numbers are going as the Pokemon are progressing. Smeargle has a Choice Scarf, and Walrein has a Citrus Berry. So yeah, looks like I already get to soft reset. Isn't, well actually I don't even have soft reset. I guess I could just run, and that might actually take a little bit less time. And then I turn off battle animations, so yeah. Now we're at the point of the video where I ask that you please leave a like on this video. Please share it with all your friends. So much work went into this. 3 hours of RNG on the battle tree. I have seen some crazy stuff, guys, and the result is underwhelming to inconclusive. I am actually blown away by the result of Sheer Cold on a non-ice. Like, that cannot be correct. That cannot be correct, that it is only like 10% accuracy, maybe 15%, but I don't know. Like, the variance, like, again, it had to be a larger sample size potentially, but this is what I have. So the Sheer Cold on the Walrein seems about right. You know, 29, so give or take 1 out of 100. that's perfectly fine with RNG. There were times where I was ahead, there was times where I was behind, so yeah, that makes sense right there. But then when using it with Suicune and Smeargle, so I did add Suicune because it's effectively the same thing, it's just miss after miss after miss, and it took forever because Smeargle would miss, get blown up, Suicune would miss, get status, and then get blown up or something. Like, it was ridiculous. What would happen on the battle tree? Like, you guys might have noticed that montage when I was using Walrein. Walrein was on the field for a very long time, using a lot of rest and sleep talk and sheer cold, but they were rarely connecting. Like, for a while, as you can see, I was really far behind. Then I started, like, it's also strange. Like, one thing I learned from this is all the weird aspects and elements of RNG is that, imagine every time you land a Scald Burn, that's an effective sheer cold, that's one hit KO. Every time you get flinched or get a flinch with Rock Slide, that's an effective one hit KO on a one hit KO move. So that's why I just lived for the last 3 hours, and it's so weird trying to piece everything together. Now my life is just RNG and numbers, because I used Sleep Talk 4 times, and it would be Rest 4 times in a row, and then Sheer Cold would roll, and I'd miss that as well. So the like, I'm just living in a net loss of randomness right now in my life, and it feels so weird. But then looking at those numbers, so either it's 1/3 of the 30%, or I'd like to think half. I would like to think that Game Freak did not nerf Sheer Cold that hard for just 3 Pokemon. Did Game Freak really regret that Suicune and Kyogre have Sheer Cold that much? Like, I would have just removed it instead of just, yeah, you just remove it from the moveset. Actually, you can't really do that because of the Pokemon Bank. It creates so many problems to remove moves. I think they've even done interviews on this before. But when you're looking at that, like, is Suicune too bulky? Does Kyogre not already get enough damage from the Water Spout and one-shot anything already? It seems like Game Freak is just spiteful of what they've done. And then the fact that Smeargle can get it, they must not have wanted any of that, because we're talking about a move that has potential 10 or 15% accuracy. I really hope the numbers are there in the game somewhere, and whoever was data mining or whoever's been looking at that really just hasn't dug deep enough. Like, I need to know in my life now what is going on with Sheer Cold, because it's absolutely ridiculous. And then you look at some of the other things, like, why did it need the Ice-type nerf? Ice-type Pokemon, I'm not going to, like, down-talk them or anything, but you can see that they're a bit underwhelming, that Pokemon just bring an Ice Beam or Hidden Power Ice if they want a coverage for Ice-types. Like, the Ice-typing is weak enough as it is, and only Ice-type Pokemon can now use Sheer Cold, but not against other Ice-types. So even if you do stumble into one of the few Ice-type Pokemon that you're going to find in a battle, now you can't even use, like, a gimmicky Gambit kind of move. So that's an unnecessary nerf to Ice typings, I feel, or anything that could potentially run the Sheer Cold, which can only be an Ice type now. Like, there's no reason, there's no point in running Sheer Cold on Suicune or Kyogre. The RNG at 30%, that's fair. You bring a bulky Pokemon, as you can see, we had Walrein. Walrein stuck around for many turns in some situations with that Rest Sleep Talk, and if it actually had good RNG, good odds, it could potentially +1 on KOs, and even if it got, like, really good RNG, you know, landed 2 out of 5 Sheer Colds, which isn't even that absurd to ask for. You know, landing 2 out of 5 Sheer Colds, Walrein could actually, like, start carrying battles, but now it doesn't even get to do that as effectively because of Ice types, and then Sheer Cold wasn't really that crazy to begin with. And then you look at other moves, like, when you think about all the one-hit KO moves, they do have an immunity of some sort. Fissure is, like, double nerfed. It has Levitate as well as Flying-type Pokemon. Horndrill and Guillotine, that's going to be immune by Ghost types as well. But you don't see the Horndrill. Actually, Horndrill is hardly used by any normal Pokemon at all. We have Tauros for, like, the only normal-type Pokemon that gets it. So we don't see any weird changes. We don't see any weird effects. Fissure as well. Like, there's a lot of Pokemon that aren't ground types that actually get access to the Fissure, more so than the Sheer Cold with Ice typings, but there's no nerf to the Fissure, even though it's already in kind of a reduced state. Like, Sheer Cold, it's been in such a strange position as well. It was introduced in the 3rd generation. In the 1st generation, when we had the other one-hit KO moves introduced, it was focused on speed. Fissure will not affect opponent whose current speed is higher than the other one, and then it went off of this calculation, and that says accuracy calculation remains unchanged, despite the accuracy now being displayed as 30%. So the inconsistencies here are pretty crazy, and also I have to wonder what the accuracy formula is now. I want to find the formula buried somewhere in Pokemon Sun and Moon's code that tells me how this works. Like, does it just say all of this, then divided by 3 or divided by 2? Just saying less likely doesn't make it sound 2/3 less likely or half as likely to land. So it's kind of deceiving in the flavor text for the few Pokemon that get access to it. I'm wondering maybe it's, you know, plus a different percent, maybe plus 20% or plus 10% instead. I don't know. And that is actually one of the most fascinatingly complex things I've ever seen in Pokemon. Just the mechanics and the interactions of Sheer Cold. Even how different it is to other one-hit KO moves, how different it is that it has to be used by an Ice type, or else it becomes the lowest accuracy move in the entire game. And I think there's other ways of potentially testing this. Like, I guess I could take this out to wild Pokemon and see how a level 50 does against a level 10, and then keep grinding that and maybe find the calculation. But I don't think it's worth it if we already know that it's going to be less, and it's absolutely useless at this point. So yeah, guys, that's my spiral into madness. Please like, subscribe, share this with your friends. I don't want my work to go to waste on this one. But wow, that's freaking ridiculous.